Ask the Podcast Coach for January 3rd, 2026.
Let's get ready to podcast.
There it is. It's that music that means it is Saturday morning. It's time for Ask the Podcast Coach, where you get your podcast questions answered live. I'm Dave Jackson from the schoolofpodcasting.com, and joining me right over there, the one and only Jim Cullison from theaverageguy.tv. Jim, how's it going, buddy?
Greetings, Dave. Happy Saturday morning to you. Am I back?
You're back.
I felt like I left you for just a second. Happy New Year. Happy 2026 to you.
Yeah, it almost feels like 4 days ago it was 2025 and now it's 2026 and it's I figured it out. It's minus 8 degrees Celsius. It's like 17 degrees here, which means it's cold in whatever you are doing for the whole Fahrenheit, Celsius, that whole 9 yards. It's cold.
Yeah, it's been chilly here too. It's a cold start to the new year. We got, a little ice on the first day, but you know what? You know what warms us up?
You know what warms us? Absolutely.
Here we go.
A popping hot cup of Java, which of course is brought to you by our good friend Mark over at podcastbranding.co. Mark has made many artwork for me, and he's made, probably close to 1,000, I would guess, at this point. He is just an artwork making machine. If you want to look good, if you want to look professional, podcastbranding.co. And the beautiful thing about Mark is not only is he an award-winning graphic artist, but he's also a podcaster. He's got 30 years of design in the field, been podcasting since 2013. And the beautiful thing is, if you need anything, so we're talking about artwork, but he does more than artwork. What if you need a PDF? What if you need a whole website like congressionaldish.com or therealbrian.com, or he can do all that stuff. And the beauty of it is he's got the marketing expertise. He's got that whole part, the whole branding part down. You tell him about your show, tell him kind of the vibe you're looking for, give him some ideas, and I'm here to tell you, he will hit that target all day long. So when you're ready to look amazing, there's only one place to go, and that is podcastbranding.co.
Of course, big thanks to our good friend Dan Lefebvre over there, based on a true story podcast.com, and author of the mug. I think we're 6 years into this mug or something.
And it's still in good shape.
It's in great shape. I use it for everything. It gets coffee and Guinness from time to time, and it's a great Guinness container. And if you check it out today, Captain Phillips is the next based on a true story episode out there, 380. That's a 2013 film. It feels like,
wow,
isn't that crazy? It
2013,
newer than that, right? If I feel like this is what happens to old people, Dave. We're like, I feel like that was yesterday. Anyways, check it out today, based on a true story.com. And Dan, as always, thanks for your sponsorship.
Well, I have an interesting question here, and this may not be entirely accurate, but how many years does this make for Ask the Podcast Coach? Do you want to guess what year we started?
It's 2026, right? I think we started in 2014.
Oh, look at that.
Did I get it right?
You got it right. Yeah. In my folder, I show... And I don't know if this is the first one, but I see it's February 15th. I don't know if that's the very first one, but that's the one I show in the finished one.
Randy Black says December 7th, 2013 looks to be the first episode. That may have been, though. We kind of tested this, right?
Yeah.
It started as you goofing around. I joined you to help you out. We chatted a few times. I saw you the next week. Then you said, hey, should we do a show? Because we just gathered people. Like, we didn't even try. We were people just started showing up in the chat. And so we were like, should we do this? And so probably in January or so is when we kind of, January, February, when we kind of kicked it out.
Chris says, yes, back in the day. Yeah. It was the first couple episodes, especially, were just me solo. And we've seen that. That is not a good look. That is something that I'm like, and
you've done better though, because you practiced with it. You could probably do solo a lot better now than you did.
it's just hard to watch the chat and talk and everything else at the same time. Ray from aroundthelayout.com says, I'm moving to a new computer. I'm going to need something stronger than coffee. This is where you don't realize how much like cloud stuff is your friend. What is the service I use? I use, because everybody uses Dropbox, but I have, I don't want to upgrade my storage. I just want the name of the application. But it's not cheap. Oh, that's why it's iDrive is what I use. And that's something I use kind of as a quick backup if I need, because I have my PC on this side and my Mac on this side, and I throw things in iDrive to share across that. And speaking of that, Mac and PC, here, let's let you nerd out.
And now, oh, he's been waiting for this. It's time for Jim to get his nerd on.
Because we both use a program. If you're sharing a Mac and a PC, this thing comes in really, really handy. So, Jim, take her away.
Yeah, if you think of traditional KVM solutions, those are keyboard, mouse, and video. That's what that stands for. So that allows you to control all three of those devices across multiple PCs. So if you have two PCs but one monitor, no, that wouldn't the way. That's nobody would ever have just one monitor. I can't believe I said that. But
it happens.
If you had two PCs and you were running them off separate monitors and you wanted to control them with just one keyboard and mouse, you'd use a KVM solution. You and I are both using Synergy, Synergy. Been using them for a long time. Great solution to use. Not a sponsor of this show, but they did reach out to me, I don't know, about a month or two ago and said, hey, would you like to try the newest version? They're on version 3 right now. And I had been using version 1 because version 2 was not very good. So when they went to version 2, I was like, I don't know, guys. They kind of burned the thing down and rebuilt version 3 from the ground up. And so it gave me a good chance to kind of review or monitor or try out the newest version, their version 3. And if you're in the space, now the KVMs are notoriously good between, like if it's only Windows PCs or you're only on Mac, but Synergy will allow you to do both between PC and Mac, which is cool. I don't know if they have a Linux version. I should look into that to see if they do. But most people, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it between PC and Mac. Dave, you have a PC and Mac infrastructure. So do I, that I'm running here. And so I tried version 3 this week because who doesn't do all kinds of computer stuff on the New Year's holiday? Got it up and running here in the studio. Actually, I like version 3 better than I like version 1. It finds the PCs easier. The setup is literally one click. So if you're thinking about, or if you need a KVM solution across that, Dave, I'd try these guys out. Synergy. What are you? Are you on version 1? Have you upgraded to the newest
That's a
version?
great question. I'm looking for the icon.
Version 1 is fine. Version 3 has great discovery capabilities. In other words, discovery is, so I set it up, you set up one PC, make it your, good. Randy says there's a Linux version of Synergy. Awesome.
Yeah.
So you go across all three. Set up one PC as your main, or one computer as your main computer, and then you install it on the other ones.
I'm on version 3.
Okay, good.
So
it's pretty easy setup, pretty easy to do. But it really makes, if you're going to live in a multi PC environment, and you're going to have especially Windows and Mac together, which yes, you can have them together. They don't fight. Pretty handy piece of software to use. And again, they reached out to me and said, hey, why don't you try version 3? We'll upgrade you. So they did. And pretty easy to use. Your licensing file is kept online, so you can just log in and get that file. If you need to install it on a new PC, just go in, grab it, get their licensing file, and install it, and you're all set and ready to go.
Yeah, Rich asks,
Rich.
It shares the clipboard, so you can copy something on the Windows machine and paste it on the Mac. It's a pretty slick thing.
Listen, it even shares the keyboard shortcuts. So, like if on a Mac you're doing Command copy, but on a PC, on a Windows PC, you're doing Control copy. So when you move the mouse over to the Windows PC, you got to do Control copy. Now, in the newest version, it may have been good on the older versions. You can change it so it's one keyboard shortcut for everything. Because sometimes that's confusing to use different keyboard shortcuts based on PC or Mac that you're using, but yes, that works across across PCs as well.
Yeah, that took me a long time. I am now, because I'm primarily a Mac person, but I'm still using my Windows keyboard, which I have a Mac keyboard sitting behind me, ready to go. But I always use Windows. I think it is Windows. Windows is my option key. So Windows C instead of Control C. And then I go to my church and I'm doing Windows C to copy stuff. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm on a PC. So it's weird because originally I was like, I will never learn this. This is driving me crazy. And now it's second nature. So, but the other thing is, I guess since it's 2026, there are a couple of things that I've done already 3 days in. I'm down 2 pounds, by the way. That's one.
Oh, nice.
It's a novel idea.
I saw your Facebook post.
Yeah, no McDonald's, no, like just eating better. And here's a novel. There's a difference between being active and exercising. And active for me, nothing wrong with it, is walking on a treadmill at like 3 miles an hour, right? Not really going to work up a sweat, but it's active. And versus, and I was really surprised on this. I used to bike like 50 miles every Saturday. I mean, I got on 6, and this is Ask the Podcast Coach, but I would get up early, go to we have trails here in Ohio, and I would bike kind of almost halfway to Cleveland and then bike my way back. I got on a bike, my internal, on a stand kind of thing. I think I lasted 10 minutes and my legs were like, oh, I'm tired. And I was like, all right, well, that's got to end. So I noticed like last night I watched, some comedy on Netflix, and I did a half hour, and I was like, okay, we're getting there. But it was just amazing. Like if you don't use it, you lose it. But I've found I've kind of just been doing like, what's the one thing I want to do today? And so yesterday, being that it was Friday, I'm like, every Saturday I go, oh, I got to drop this PC. I just need to have dual screens with my Mac. The only thing I use my PC for is to watch Netflix. That's it. Or something that's going on, Spotify in the background. I was like, every week I'm telling Jim, I got to lose this PC. I'm like, I'm losing the PC today. And then I was like, well, let's just make sure I can do dual monitors on my Mac Mini. And I was like, okay, I know there's not 2 HDMI ports, but I've got a port into the port of the port thing. And I'm like, let's just grab the
Thunderbolt port on the Mac Mini you could get an adapter for.
Yeah, and then I found out, oh, wait, this is using a VGA thing. And I'm like,
the monitor had a VGA, was still VGA.
Because I was like, let's just plug it in and see if it works before I go unplugging stuff. And long story short, the monitor's really old, and I definitely have a Thunderbolt out of my Mac that I can use. I'm going to have to go Thunderbolt which is weird because you can type in Thunderbolt all you want, and Best Buy, everybody else will give you USB-C. And I know there's a difference. I don't know what the difference is between Thunderbolt, probably more data, but whatever reason.
It is.
Yeah. So
it's more complicated than we want to cover here.
Yeah.
This would be a good thing to Google if you're interested, but there's all kinds of different, USB standards on that.
Yeah.
And so, it gets complicated.
And I was laughing because as I'm looking for a monitor, a lot of monitors now are really geared not towards people doing Microsoft Excel and Hindenburg and stuff. They're gaming, and like the one I think even had a fan. It looked like it built into on the monitor. You need a fan, but I was like, which was great because if you just want a monitor to do Excel and Word and Hindenburg and all this other stuff, it was I think $120 for a 27-inch monitor.
Never been a better time to be a monitor hoard. I'm just telling
That's
you.
right. How many do you have? Is it 11? Something?
I have 11. I have 11 monitors down here. Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
And so,
but they're all listen. They're all bought and paid for. If you wanted to be like me and be a monitor hoard, right now. Listen, everything is expensive right now. RAM is expensive. PCs are expensive. Thank God there's no RAM in monitors. And so that has made the price of monitors very, very reasonable. So if you're using, Dave, you talked about a VGA monitor. Well, okay, it still works. It's still a good standard. It's still fine. If you have older equipment that's running VGA, it's fine. You can get a VGA adapters if you want to. Don't do that. Just buy a new monitor.
That's what I did.
Yeah, they're super cheap.
I was looking at Amazon, and it's probably one of those things, but we all know they're all Japanese made because they're, names you've never heard of, and they're really cheap. And like, they're even Amazon Basics. I was like, Amazon Basics, I could buy an Amazon. And I was like, and then I saw where I could have one delivered today from our good friends at Walmart with the cable. And I was like, and I'm like, I can get it here by 10 o'clock. I'm like, well, all right. Now, in the past, Walmart has said we will have it there by, I remember once it was supposed to be here by 8 p.m. and then it was 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And then at 11 p.m. I was like, I'm going to bed. Like, never mind. So it showed up today at about 9:45. And I was like, do I bust it out and try it? And I'm like, no, we've learned that lesson. Don't add new equipment 10 minutes before the show goes live.
No, you should not. What did you get? Tell me again what you got.
It's an LG 27-inch. I can go get straight because it's going to be mounted on I have these stands that go up, and that was the other thing that's called a VESA mount, VESA, and it has 4 little holes. I needed to see the back of the monitor to see, are there 4 little holes in the back so I can put that on there. Yeah. And it was, but it wasn't listed in the specs. You had to go to each one and then go down to the super detailed of it, and it would say, sometimes it would say wall mountable, which just means
VESA is what you say. Vesas. Sometimes we say Visa.
Visa.
It's
okay.
Tomato. It's the
same.
It is. It's the same. It just depends what part of the country you're from. Most modern monitors will have a Visa mount already on it. So those, like you said, it's the square, right? And so anything, and I forget this, below a certain size is going to have the 10 millimeter or something. I'd have to look up those standards, but
100 by 100 was the standard Visa. And I was like, whatever. I just needed I need to bolt it to this thing. So
yeah. No, it's a good thing. And then if you're going to have more than one monitor, if you're going to have 2, and why wouldn't you have 2? If you're going to have 1, you should have 2. You can get those monitor mounts, right? That would mount to your desk, and then it'll put the 2 on there side by side. That's what I have here. They don't have to be the same size. I have a 35-inch curved monitor and a 27-inch curved monitor next to each other. One is 1440. The 27-inch is 1440, so I get better resolution. The 35 is 1080p. It was super cheap when I bought it. 1080 works just fine.
Right.
They're actually the same height, so they line up nicely together. They look like one continuous monitor when you put them next to each other. So not that I'm addicted, but that's the Dave.
If you want to have 2 or 11,
11's fine. 11's fine. Listen, I will say one of the advantages of having 2, somebody's like, why would you have 2 PCs for your podcast studio? Right. And one of the advantages to that, and especially while you're podcasting, if you have lower end equipment or if you're just using regular stuff, having 2, you can separate some of your processes onto the second PC and get them completely separated from the one you're using for the show. That way, if you start something during the show that may be intensive, or a backup starts, which you don't want to do. Some of those kinds of things. Then you're separating kind of your processes between PCs, keeping your broadcast or your streaming PC kind of doing its job of streaming, and then you can have other things running on a separate computer. It kind of separates the workflow that's on there. So not a bad idea. And it doesn't have to be one have to be PC and the other have to be Mac. They can both be Macs. They can both be PCs. It can be either or. I just like them from a tech guy standpoint. I like to have both because I want to know what's going on with both. So I figured if I had one Mac, one PC, I would always be up to date on the things that are going on. I used to keep the second PC Mac. When I first got the Mac, it had trouble with the mini versions had trouble with dual monitors. So I didn't do that. They've fixed that since then. And now I have dual monitors on the Mac Mini, which is super handy to have as well. So good way. Just remember, right? Monitors aren't free from a power perspective. So you're running 25 or 30 watts when you're running your monitors. And so they can consume a little bit of power over time if you leave them on or if you're using them constantly. So that's one of the things I have to take into consideration with all these monitors, being honest. If I turn them all on, I'm pulling a little juice from the studio.
You always have them where they can kind of black themselves out after X amount of time, but I'm like, it's still on. It's like, isn't it still pulling juice? I'm like,
Yeah, if it's in power saving mode, it's not pulling much, a couple watts.
Okay.
You're good. But if you have them all on at the same time, sometimes I like to pretend like I'm in, Houston control in NASA, and I've got them all turned on. I'm getting a little tan from all the
Yeah.
lights that are on here. Well, that can be up to 500 watts of power with 11 monitors on. So just remember you're pulling power from all those things as well. The power's not free on those.
One of my favorite things to do is if there's some sort of webinar and I don't want to really sit for the webinar, I will have the webinar on one computer. It goes into my Roadcast or whatever, and I will start Otter on the second machine because it's really easy to do that. Now, if I was on a Mac only, I forget the name of there's one program from Rogue Amoeba that you can use to reroute your audio everywhere. But I would just throw it into Otter. I'm like, record it in Otter, and I would go to lunch or whatever. The webinar gets done.
Great idea.
I got my transcript, and I'm like, give me the main summary of that. And what's great is you get the nuggets without the giant pitch at the end. It might even say, you can get 35% off if you order by Thursday, but that's always fun. So yeah, that'll be today. We've got group coaching for the School of Podcasting and the awesome supporters. You'll get that invite when I get out of here. I've got coaching, so eventually, sometime today, I'm going to hook that up. But busy day. So, but the other thing, you want to hear something I've used Todoist forever. Todoist is a great to-do list. It's on everything. It's on your PC. It's on your Mac. It's on your phone, your tablet, whatever. And I love it. And you can it integrates with a lot of stuff. But for me, I noticed that I live in my calendar. Like it's stupid that one of the things I have to do to be productive is to remember to look at my to-do list because otherwise nothing gets done. And so I just happened to YouTube served up a video on Google Tasks. And I see them all the time because it's kind of part of your calendar. And if you just need a simple to-do list, and you can even have multiple to-do lists like health, and then I have one for Podpage, and it's but it's right there in your calendar. And now I'm finding I'm more productive because I'm actually looking at my to-do list. And what I was doing in Todoist wasn't that crazy. It's follow up with Steve every 3 weeks because he's a new School of Podcasting person, or wash your dehumidifier, things that you nothing crazy. And so if you're looking for a free to-do list, Google Tasks is not bad. Boy, we're having a lot of monitor talk. Curved monitor. Apparently I'm not cool because I don't have a cool curved monitor.
Flat's okay. But curves, as they get bigger, it's nice to have them kind of curve. It brings the corners to you.
Ray says the meter on the outside of the Collison house is spinning like a top.
Why do you think I went to solar? That's I've been trying to, I'm going to have 85 watts of solar coming in right now, but it's been kind of a cloudy day. But to try to cover some of the usage of my computer usage. So,
we have a question from the Z-Man. Welcome back. Listen to the show from last week. Do you recommend going to Buzzsprout instead of Libsyn to get started? Yes. Now, do I recommend Captivate over Buzzsprout? Yes. So for me, it's Captivate, Buzzsprout. And the reason for that, because Buzzsprout has a really nice feature set. Captivate lets you it's $19 a month for as many shows as you want. And the only time your bill goes up, if all your shows total go over 30,000 downloads, your bill goes up. Now, if you're getting over 30,000 downloads, I'm pretty sure you can monetize that. So I start with Captivate. If you really need, and Captivate isn't hard, but Buzzsprout's interface might be a little easier, just a pinch. The other thing, being an old musician, it drives me nuts that I have to pay more to get a stereo file out of Buzzsprout. I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, but on the other hand, I could throw a WAV file at Buzzsprout and they will convert it to 64 mono or whatever. It's just mono. But I prefer Captivate by this much. And that always kind of disappoints people at Buzzsprout. I'm like, no, you're still number 2 and you only lost by this. And half of that is because I'm an old musician. But now it's another, whatever it is, $9, something like that. I'm using their version of Auphonic that removes the ums out of this show. And there are plenty of ums in this show because it's live and Dave hasn't figured out what he's saying yet. So, in fact, let me put, in case you're going that way, here is my link in the chat room. So this will be in the show notes for Captivate. And there is my affiliate link for Buzzsprout. So supportthishow.com/Captivate, supportthishow.com/Buzzsprout. And that uses multiple tools there. I'm using a tool called Switchy that counts all of my, anytime somebody clicks on those. So that allows me to see what people are clicking on. And then the other thing I'm using there is TextExpander, which if you work in support, you need TextExpander. So if you're tired of typing the same thing over and over and over, yes. And Daniel J. Lewis chiming in, the one and only. New episodes of The Future of Podcasting coming soon, kind of, maybe. I found things work best when I talk about affiliates in relevant context, just like Dave did just now. Yeah.
That goes back to a question that Ralph had asked earlier, by the way, about affiliate relationships.
Yeah, it's here we go. One of my goals is to build affiliate income. I would love to get some ideas of the best way to start, the best system to create, manage it from the end. First things first, what do you use? So, like for me, for Ralph being an accountant, either I'm sure Quicken has some sort of thing. I'm running over to grab mine. This one I don't have in my TextExpander, but I use a program called Monarch Money. I switched to it when, oh crap, what was the name of that thing? That it was free. Everybody used it to budget. Mint went out of business. I switched to Monarch Money, and you can get 50% off, and I'll get $30 using the link in the show notes. So it's stuff like that when you can talk about something that you use because somebody, brought up, like I'm sure I have a link to Walmart somewhere that is probably an affiliate link. I'm with Daniel. Now you can use it as a sponsor. So if I wanted to, I could say, this episode of Ask the Podcast Coach is brought to you by Monarch Money. Go to askthepodcastcoach.com/monarch, which doesn't exist right now, but it will after the show. That kind of stuff, you could treat it like a sponsor. But for me, one of the mistakes I see a lot of people do with affiliate marketing is they're like, oh, holy cow, HostGator pays you $100 per referral. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to start promoting HostGator, except your show is about NASCAR and nobody's building websites. So it's the right product for the right, audience. And so I've probably told this story before. I'll keep it short. I promoted the Total Gym for a year on a weight loss show. Why? Because I had one and I loved it. And I made one sale in a year. I got my $75 commission and was like, But then I started talking about fit decks, which I think I made $1.50 if somebody bought a fit deck. But it was the right product for the right audience, and people were buying 3 and 4 at a time. And all of a sudden, I was getting $100 affiliate checks. On my weight loss show back in the day when I was getting like 2,000 downloads an episode, I started promoting Chronometer. And I got, I think it was $7 or something if somebody signed up for their biggest tier. So it's really the right product for the right audience. And so, Ralph, with you being an accountant, I would, you need a budget is another one. I know they have an affiliate program where they did Monarch Money. I don't know if Dave Ramsey. See, that's the part that gets scary because I know Dave Ramsey has a budgeting tool. I used it for about 6 months before I went, it's enough of that. So yeah, apparently QuickBooks does not, but I can offer something internally, which is great. Now that's the best price. When you can promote your own stuff, that's where the money starts rolling in. Because now I did, when I was doing the Chronometer thing, I did the math and I was making $52 CPM, which is a lot from, the $5 CPM you're getting at Red Circle and Libsyn and things like that. So, and the Chronometer, what was great about that one, and I'm probably still have a link somewhere, is the fact that it was cheaper and better than MyFitnessPal. And everybody knew about MyFitnessPal. And when I said, hey, this is better and cheaper, everybody went, well, I got to go check that out. And so, and I'd used it. That was another one. I use these things so I can talk about them from a firsthand standpoint. Jim, I know for a while you had some sort of food service or something.
Oh, yeah, we were using HelloFresh, and I had HelloFresh, and that made me that was kind of sweet. They would not give it to you all at once. It was a credit towards what you were buying each month, and you could take one of those credits each month. And so every month for, I don't know, a year, there's a credit on our HelloFresh bill, which was super nice. So you can do it that way. I do think getting your own, assigning those, and I use Pretty Links to do that, assigning those to your own domain is handy. So like I threw this in chat. My Patreon account is at theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. I think I've taken this down, but I think it was theaverageguy.tv/HelloFresh. I did a Coinbase for a while, theaverageguy.tv/Coinbase. I think that one's down too. But because their program has changed. The key, I think, is to make sure you're keeping track of all of those in some way, that you've got a good idea of where they're at and what they point to. Affiliate companies that do affiliate relationships are notorious for changing that link on a fairly regular basis. So make sure they work. For a while, I created a page on my site that was just all my affiliate links. So it was just a section where it would go and it would have the affiliate, like, hey, HelloFresh is here, blah, blah, blah here. So you could go to theaverageguy.tv/affiliate, although no one knows how to spell affiliate. So maybe you make it something easier than that. But it's a good way to kind of keep track of your own, keep track of the affiliate relationships that you have from time to time. I would test them to make sure they're working and they're going to the right place and they're doing the right thing. The far and above, the Amazon affiliate relationship has done the best for me anyways. Now I'm a gadget show, so I show a lot of those. And Daniel's saying, yeah, he had joined through my referral link on Coinbase. That one was also very profitable back in the day. Coinbase is back to $30 like per link you get. If they sign up and you sign up, they get $30, you get $30. That's nothing to shake a stick at, right? So I don't have my Coinbase affiliate set up, but if you want to talk to me about that, thread chat, I'll get it to you. But Dave, I would just say, make sure you're keeping track of your affiliate relationships, making sure that at least once a month you're testing them to make sure they're still working.
Yeah, that's you hit the nail on the head. Either A, the product goes out of business, B, they go out of stock, or B, they just change. So let me, for anybody listening to this, I will try to explain what I'm doing here. But I went over to Zoom to share my screen. I forgot. I'm doing Ecamm Live. So I will switch over to my screen. So just to show you here, here's my Monarch Money. I'm going to copy my referral link. I'm going to go into Switchy, which is just a link shortener. And all I have to do is paste that in there and go switch it. And it goes, okay. And I'm going to I've already added these things for, hey, in case I ever want to do more tracking, put a pixel on there from Facebook and a pixel from TikTok, because, I am the TikTok king. And down here, I'm going to say, hey, they have these other like switchy.io and swy.co. And I'm like, I added my own domain, which is supportthishow.com. And I'm going to say Monarch. Now, all I have to do, and down here, I'll just put, affiliate link to Monarch. If I wanted to, you can get super detailed here. And I have all my Ecamm windows in my way, so I can't even see what I'm doing. But I will say, hey, I could put it as software, but I'm going to say this is more of a service. So if I later want to go in and track which services are performing the best, but now I'll say, get my link. And it says, okay, you can't use this custom slug. Well, that means I'm probably already done this one. So I will go over here and say, show me all the links. Do I have Monarch in here already? And again, I can't see because I've got 30. Here it is. You're invited to this. So I've already got this link. So from there, and if I just want to test it, I can go here and say, yeah, I used the wrong link for this, but there's fine. You're going to get 50% off. Now, The other thing I used is TextExpander, and I can come over here, and I don't think so. I have my snippets. There we go. And I'll say I want to make a new snippet, please, and I will just paste in my lovely link to that, and I will say I'm going to call this Monarch Money, and all I have to do is type in hashtag Monarch. And yep, not used. Great. So I'm done. All I have to do is click outside of this now, and it's saved. And now when I come over to the chat room and type in hashtag Monarch, voila, it puts that in there. So when Jim says things like, I don't know, Buzzsprout, I just have to type in hashtag BUZZ, and there's my link. And then when somebody says whatever, and I don't think I have one for Switchy. If not, I will make one here in a second. No, I have some. Oh, and this is where you run in when you have a lot of these. I have a keyboard shortcut hashtag SWI, which shows me an image from Sweetwater. So hashtag Sweetwater SWI. So I will get a link for Switchy here, which of course is in Switchy. So I will go over here and say, which is also going to show all the Switchy links. It's going to be a little icky if I press enter, but I use this thing all the time because I can go in. Apparently it helps if you spell it correct. Oh, I have to go to all links. Now type in Switchy. And it's just SWITCH. Yeah, boost your whatever this thing is down here. And right now, and I don't understand why, it's still on AppSumo. It's been there. It's $39 a year for a lifetime deal. And you can also, if you go to right now, as of January 2026, if you go to powerofpodcasting.com, that is kind of a link tree looking thing from Switchy. And all of these links are then trackable. So I can see who's clicked on what. I don't really recommend these kind of sites because there is zero SEO. But I use if somebody says, where can I find all of your stuff? I go, go to powerofpodcasting.com. And in this case, I just have it forwarded to this particular site. So lots of fun. That's how I do all my affiliate stuff. Daniel says, I made a TextExpander snippet for simply my domain, and then it pops up an empty field for whatever comes after the blank. So I type .tap for the URL and type the rest instead of hundreds of URL snippets. That's why he's Daniel J. Lewis. See, he's using that noodle. I should share my AppSumo affiliate link. I should. Let's go. AppSumo.
Chat now has every affiliate link
ever existed.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Though. It's good. It's a
the
great
other
question, right? And managing these things because they can get away from you pretty fast.
Well, the other thing, if you go to schoolofpodcasting.com, I think it's under my About section. Somebody asked, they said, hey, I want to use your affiliate link for Captivate. Where can I find it? And then that person then came back and said, you should just make a page with all your affiliate links. So if you go to About on the School of Podcasting, you'll see I have it creatively named affiliate links, except I clicked on the wrong one. Come on, mouse, be my friend. What's up with that? That's really a part of it is because I'm logged in, I see.
This is why you test.
That's
test
right.
Everything.
There we go. Support this show. So these are all, here's my AI writing tools. Here's my business operations. And Jason mentioned some other invoicing tool I'd never heard of. So I might look into that. I use Waves for that, Wave apps, if you just want to track income and outcome. But this is something that, and I'm starting to see where more people are going to this page. So I just put all my affiliate links on this. Yeah. Randy says affiliate overload. Yeah.
But Dave, it's tax time though. This is another thing you need to take into consideration. Every single one of those affiliate links you're going to need to get a document from or check back in on. Now, I'm not a tax advisor, but nor do I play one on TV, and I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. You're going to make sure that you're reporting that income that's coming in. This is one of those things where, like, if you're going to dabble in this, this could actually be harder when it comes tax time. Then you may, because all of a sudden you're now recording. You become self-employed when you report this kind of income, And so if you don't regularly do that and you're using tax software, you might have to purchase the version that is for small businesses or some of those kinds of things. So I kind of think, I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, but I think if you're going to do this affiliate stuff, even with like Amazon, I think you really need to go for it to make it worth, the dabbling. If you do Amazon and you make $150 in a year, that may not even cover the filing, if you have to buy an advanced version of the tax software or get help doing that, or even your time may not even be worth it. So I think listen, if you're going to dabble, test, that's fine. I just think it's one of those things that go in. If you're going to do it, go all in. If you're not going to do it, don't. Like, it's not worth it for less than a certain amount of money. And again, it may vary in your jurisdiction. This has been my own personal thing. It's like, for the little that I make on it, sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this? Is this really worth my time to track all this stuff? So I think you have to ask yourself that question as well.
Yeah. Well, you said the magic word. I'll go back to this one. Amazon makes their they make their affiliate program impossible to understand. Their rules are really, so this is the best $6 I've ever spent, which is Genius Link. And so here I can go in and let's see, what's the last thing I put in here? The Audio Technica AT89. I don't even know what this is, but if I go to it, this is what the big thing about Genius Link is. It says, hey, we may earn from qualifying purchases from Amazon and other retailers. So this way I can always link to this, and I never have to worry about Amazon going, you didn't disclose that this was an affiliate link and we're going to kick you out of the program. And so that's what this does. Then I have to go in and manually add my Sweetwater link because Sweetwater's better, but it's here. And if you want a inexpensive shotgun mic, that's the one that Tom, the guy that does all the bad dad puns, that's going to drive me nuts. Anyway, so this is, you just go in and when you make a new link, you grab your link without your Amazon Associates ID, and then it automatically adds it. And then I can add B&H and Best Buy and Walmart. And let me see if I can find a link here that maybe has, like if I go to, like that one we saw, in that case, I just had one link. But some of these will have multiple products. Maybe the Ozbot? Nope. Some of these have just Amazon. It really depends. But I love the fact that it kind of handles the whole Amazon, hey, this is an affiliate link kind of thing. And it gives you reports. And the other thing it does is after I started using it for like a month, it's like you're getting a ton of traffic from Italy. Now, I don't know what a ton means, but I was like, so I went over and set up an Amazon Associates account in Italy and put that in there. And they handle the whole, hey, if somebody's coming from the UK, give them this link. So that's something else that it does, that if you really want to do Amazon links, it's $6. It's the best $6 ever. And the beauty of it is when, like, especially in podcasting gear, lighting and stuff like that, they'll make a great kit. Like, ooh, here's the newer 3-light set with remotes, blah, 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 $180 for 3 lights. You're like, that's amazing. And you put it up and they sell out and it's like out of stock. And you're like, it's been out of stock since 2022. Like, yeah, it ain't coming back. So now you have that link everywhere. You can update the link to point at something else, which happens, unfortunately, more than I like to. And Genius Link will actually email you, like you log in and it says, hey, you got 2 links that are dead or they're linking to out of stock products. Do you want to point to something else? So, yeah, Daniel says, I'm still angry at Amazon for kicking me out for not replying to their warnings when I replied immediately. Yeah, my favorite Amazon story, and they were absolutely right. I used the wrong link by accident. I forget what it was, an iframe or something, and you're not allowed to use those. And I was like, oh crap. And I actually had a guy on the phone from Amazon and I'm like, hey, I changed it. Like, I'm so sorry. I know I clicked on the wrong thing. And I go, am I in? And he goes, well, no, Kevin has to approve this. And I'm like, okay, well, tell Kevin I'm really sorry and I fixed it and we're good to go and I won't do that again. And Kevin came over and looked at me and just gave me the old thumbs down. And I was like, what? And what was really weird is I thought it was gone forever. And then somebody said, no, just sign back up. And I was like, what? So I'm like, well, I don't want to be weird and slimy about it. So I signed up with my name and the same email address and everything else. And they let me right back in. And then I made the mistake of saying, support this show, use this link below. And even though that makes sense because your audience wants to help you and you've given them another reason why to shop at Amazon. No, that got me kicked out. And that's when I went over and actually read the terms. And even in my book, Profit from Your Podcast,
you wrote a book about this?
and even in the book, it's like, look, do your best to read Amazon's like terms of service, but don't feel bad when you don't understand them because they don't make any sense. Yeah, and Daniel says, aside from the fact they claim I didn't respond when I did, they also claimed I violated their social media rules, which I proved I did not. Yeah, and this is where the Amazons, the YouTubes, the Spotifys of the world, they don't care about you. I've been dealing with banks. I believe in the end, my PayPal account got hacked because I found out that there was another user on my PayPal account. And I found out a couple days ago, there was another credit card on my account that wasn't mine. And in the process, that person in PayPal was transferring money to my other account. Like he's trying to take $1,000 out of my PayPal account. Joke's on him. There wasn't $1,000 in my PayPal account, but it went into I was switching from one bank account to another. And he ended up kind of half hacking both of them. And dealing with banks is like ridiculous. It just, they love stuff. Yeah, it was very scary, especially when I saw the credit card. I was like, wait. So I have changed my password on everything. I use one password for everything, but somehow they had hacked my PayPal account and I immediately changed the password on that. My checking account, I changed my account number. I use Acorns for that. Do I have an affiliate link for Acorns? If you're not using Acorns, you should, because every time I don't have which, it does help if you spell the Acorns. I should have an affiliate link for Acorns. I don't. We did have a question. I saw one come up here. Do either of your hosts, but Acorns, by the way, to finish that thought, they have a deal where you earn interest on your stuff, which is who knew that. But also if I buy something for, let's say $1.80, they take the 20 cents and put it into my savings account. And I can do all sorts of fun stuff like that. But it's, that's again, banks are fun. That one's actually, their customer support was really cool. I do have an Acorns affiliate link. I just don't have it set up to TextExpander. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, the lovely,
the world's greatest chat room.
We have a couple questions here. Do either of you hosts or anyone in the chat have experience with Angry Audio products? Never heard of it. Specifically, the Chameleon Smooth for the Shure SM7B. Never heard of it. Have you ever heard of that, Jim? You have stumped the band, my friend.
No.
Congratulations. So that one I've never heard of. The Z-Man said, I'm in Operation Build My Brand after being away for a spell. What is the best start first? Internet radio. What is up with my... There we go. Or internet radio station or podcast. I have a dual website for the two. Podcast, my friend. Podcast, it is Ask the Podcast Coach, so I'm biased on that. I have a radio station. I use although I'll probably cancel this. I use a company called Radio Lies because they were on AppSumo. Even when they're not on AppSumo, it's $10 a month. And the first thing you'll learn is obviously internet radio much popular outside the U.S. than just because you can see your stats and you're like, oh, look, I'm huge in France. But it's one of those things where you upload a bunch of MP3 files and then I have mine like play these two files. So it's clips from Ask the Podcast Coach or from Your Podcast Consultants, because those are actually short. And then play this ad. And the ad has a coupon. Use the coupon code radio when you sign up at the School of Podcasting. And I've had this thing for probably 3 years, and not once has somebody used the coupon code radio. So it's, and it's an ego stroke. You're like, ooh, look, somebody from, a company or a country I can't pronounce is listening to my show. But it's one of those things, if you don't promote it, and it's the direct opposite of a podcast. Do I have that set up somewhere? Is it like schoolofpodcasting.com/radio or something? But it's, you join in the middle of an episode. Nope, it's definitely not /radio. That takes you to another expired link. It's just, for my show, internet radio did absolutely nothing for me. So I would say a podcast where it's time shifted. People get to pick what they want to listen to, as opposed to, hey, here's an episode you're in the middle of that you don't want to listen to. You have to sit here for another 4 minutes until it's done. Yeah, so I would say definitely a podcast. But it used to be, there were a ton of internet radio stations back in the day in Apple Podcasts and iTunes. So you got more exposure. Now it's, not a big deal. So, yes, Jason says Acorns is great. I've taken the money I used to spend on cans of dip, and other things like beef jerky and soda per week, and I've saved over $20,000. Very good. I quit dipping almost 10 years ago, and your friends quit finding Dixie cups of dip from 3 weeks ago that are moldy, because there's nothing better than moldy dip cup. Just like Mom used to make. I had a friend that used to do that, and we'd play ping pong, and you'd find a cup of dip from like 3 weeks ago, and you're like, yeah, just give me a hobby so that I can start spitting in cups. Boy, I miss those days. Jason says, I can't change my damn PayPal phone number. I've deleted an 18-year-old number multiple times, and I always get the prompt, confirm your info, and that's the old number every time. Yeah, some of these big companies are just, customer service is not their strong suit. So keep that in mind. You know who I don't want to spit on, Jim?
Maybe our awesome supporters.
Our awesome supporters. I would never spit on these people. And you say, like, who? And I'm like, well, all the people, if you're watching on YouTube, people like jcaldigital.org or Matt Talk Online. That's Mr. Jason right there. And, of course, the contentcreatorsaccount.com is in the chat room as well. Jody's in here, voiceovers and vocals.com. All sorts of fun people are supporting the show, and we deeply appreciate it. But if I can get my mouse to work, everything, it's just one of those days. The show is brought to you by theschoolofpodcasting.com. So if you have more questions, hey, guess what? That comes with 5 hours of one-on-one consulting with little old me, along with the courses and the amazing community. The only thing cooler than the world's greatest chat room is the world's greatest community over at theschoolofpodcasting.com. And if you need some feedback on your show, because it's not just growing the way you want it to, check out podcasthotseat.com. The last 2 hot seats I've done, I've really had to struggle to find something that I like, I wouldn't do that. Usually it's almost always the call to action. I have one today where I'm doing and the call to action is like, hey, here's the thing I'm going to measure my success with, and yet you never mention it. And that's absolutely normal, by the way. We are horrible at promoting ourselves. If you go to Ask the Podcast Coach, you're looking at Podpage. If you want a tripod page, go to tripodpage.com, and that is where I am the head of podcasting over there. And if you need more Jim Cullison, and hey, who doesn't, then take your mouse, go right over to theaverageguy.tv and check out Home Gadget Geeks, where Jim keeps you up to date on all the gadgets that are geeky and you use them in your home. That's why he calls it, you guessed it, Home Gadget Geeks. And also, it's time for the Wheel o' Names. And so who will it be? It's interesting that, okay, that's good to know. The eCam things that are always in my way do not show when we go to the Wheel of Names. So will it be Ralph from the Financially Confident Christian, or Glenn from Horse Radio Network, or Jody from Audio Branding? Well, we're going to find out. In fact, just to make it fair, we'll click shuffle and then we will click the wheel. It spins round and round. And it's going to be, it could be Ralph. It could be Ralph. It's not. So close, Ralph, the content creator's accountant. It is John Muntz, who's been a supporter for a long time. And if you go over to johnmuntz.com, you will see all the different things that he does, because he does quite a bit. But thank you, John, for your awesome supportage. Supportage. I think I just made up a verb. What is it when you're supporting? Ask the podcast coach. It's supportage. You're soaking in it, Madge. If you go over, nobody gets that. You have to be 50 to get that joke, at least. If you're sitting there thinking, hey, does this show save you time or money? Does it save you headaches? Does it keep you educated? Did we help you solve a problem? Well, then you could go over to askthepodcastcoach.com/awesome and become an awesome supporter today. And it doesn't have to be monthly. If you just want to throw us a bone once, yep, those work as well. So yes, Jason says, great segue. John says, I used Acorns for years and it creates a slight dilemma for me every time a vendor offers a roundup for charity option during your purchase. I end up thinking the best charity is me. I'm not the only one who thinks that. I'm like, no, I got my own charity. It's called, David 70. I'm going to need that. So keep that in mind. We haven't talked about, where is my note, Joy? Oh, here's a good question. We'll ask this for Ray. Ray's in the chat room from aroundthelayout.com. Jim, what's the factor for editing your show? And what we mean by this is like, okay, if I do an hour-long show, just because it's easy to do math with that, how long should it take me to edit an hour-long show?
Yeah, my standard answer is 6 to 1, right? That's what I tell people when they first start podcasting.
6
You're
to 1.
do about 6 hours of editing for every hour that your podcast is. I've gotten mine down to about 2.5 or 3 to 1. Right?
For just the editing or the whole thing?
Oh no, I'm thinking about the whole thing, show notes, posting,
okay.
the whole shooting match.
My
just the editing part?
Yeah, just the like 1 to 1. So if it's an hour. See, to me, I always said like 1.5. So if it's an hour-long show, because I'm going to stop and make edits, it's not going to be an hour.
How you edit it. It depends.
Yeah.
I do very little edits. Like I try to make it so I don't have to do a ton of edits to it.
Well, that's it. That's the old, and I realized
for that one.
Yeah, I used to say 1.5 to 2 when you first start out. And that's where I always say the more you plan, the less you edit. The less you plan, the more you edit. So
in theory,
it's kind of tricky. And then there were things like, like in Ray's case, he's got an SM7B. He sounds great. So he's not going to have to do a lot of editing on the making it sound better side. He's just looking for, things that don't deliver value. The things that, what can happen sometimes that'll boost that is you just take your audio, you don't even listen to it, and you run it through Alphonic. And then somebody is, they actually breathe. And in some cases, they're just a little louder than normal when they breathe, enough to where Alphonic thinks it's a word. And it's like, oh, this word is much quieter than the rest of them. And then all of a sudden somebody goes from sounding like this to, because it's, a breath. And you're like, so that can then triple your editing time. And there are times when I will go, you just have to go back and that's where I will, A, listen with earbuds, B, throw it like Pocket Cast, Overcast, Podurama, which I still think is one of the best names of a podcast app ever. You can upload files on the web and then download them on your phone. So I'll go listen in the car. If I really go, how does this sound? I'll go to where people listen to podcasts to go, in the car, I don't even notice the breathing. I don't notice this and that. And a lot of times we edit stuff. Yeah. Todd the Gator says, with my AI editing went from 5 to 1 to 2 to 1. Yeah. I remember it used to take me 4 hours to edit this show because it's live. And a lot of times we're figuring out what we're saying. And I'm really, I just did one because I'm not sure what I'm saying. And we double words. So like when you do this, and Descript was great for ripping all those out and doing pretty good with the edits. And I've since switched because the last time I looked at Descript, I go, is this the same company? Like I hadn't used it in like 3 weeks. And we kind of joke that they changed their interface a lot. I literally didn't like, is this like, what happened? And so Buzzsprout has a tool, which is just all phonic in the background, that will remove your ums. And I was like, well, let's see how this works. And so far, I haven't really heard a bad edit. Now, it's leaving in all the double words and things like that. But I'm like, people say those things. People say as long as it's not distracting. I once worked with a teacher, and every time she paused, she would say something, and then she'd pause, and then she said something, and she would pause. And once you noticed it, it was like nails on a chalkboard. You know, Jeff C says, if you have guests, that's where the variable is for me. Some guests are a nightmare to get the sound decent. Yep, that's true. That's where I spent the $300 on the Accentize one plugin. And Chris Stone has one he mentioned a while ago that's a really good, like, just magic kind of plugin that pulls out, you know, room noise, it pulls out reverb. D-Revive Pro, I believe, is what I'm using. Yeah. And this thing takes out room noise. But it's costly. It was like $300. But when I have, then there's even one more, like if I wanted the complete pro, it's $1,300, but they have a D-Revive for $99. And I do not have an affiliate link for Accentize. Wish I did. But I use D-Revive Pro, and I kept getting horrible audio from people, from my one client, and it saved me hours and hours. And I was like, okay, it's $300, but I'm not staying up till 2 a.m. editing your crap anymore. So it was worth it. And, you know, it's something I could somewhat write off on my taxes. So yeah, Chris Stone, D-Room and D-Revive from Accentize. And what was the other one you mentioned? There was another company, it was like Gold Audio or something with a G or a C. I don't know. Can I buy a vowel? Something. I forget what the one that he had mentioned that wasn't from Accentize. Ralph says, I'm thinking I might need a program for myself today. I sunsetted one of my shows, and now I keep having the feeling of doing another one. Does anyone else get this feeling? Yes, sit on that thought for a week. On a week. Because I have almost started the podcast pitch slap multiple times. And then I go, wait, let me check. Is ChatGPT, are there still 24 hours in a day? And it'll be like, yes, Dave, you're correct. And I'm like, okay, then I can't do that because there are only 24 hours in a day. So that's always fun. Todd says, I always do my shows live. Editing has been much easier as well. Well, if you're going to do a live show, you kind of have to have something planned so you know what you're going to say. Jim, you do your show live, right? Yeah, that's the question.
Do you really?
And I was like, maybe not. Yeah.
Well, but you need to be good enough. Like, we know you've got some things planned for this show, and you know what we kind of know where we're gonna go. We rely on the chat room to come in. Both of us have been doing this long enough. We could go on the fly if we needed to. And if we didn't have anything more to talk about, you'd be like, hey, Jim, let's wrap this thing up. And if it's early, I'm not going to get, I'll be, it sounds good. Let's go in 15 minutes early. We've never done that.
Right.
But, we could, if we done live. I think live tightens things up a little bit and actually makes your guest better. And so I've done them live, and I've just recorded them, and I consistently get better content out of live shows than I do from just recorded with no live audience. It just tightens things up. The question I get all the time from some people, like, I've done it live, and I'm using air quotes, and there's been no one on the other side listening. It still has the same effect. Like, the guest doesn't know for the most part. They just think they're live, and so I get better content that way. I've asked, some people have said, well, then why do you do it live? Like, if there's nobody there, why would you do it live? Because I get better content if I do it. If somebody could be there live and record it that way, it just consistently get better content. So I that's what I like to do. Not everybody wants to do that. In fact, I feel weird when it's not live. Like when it's not live, I'm not as good. I just like it live. So that's just me.
Yeah, Todd says you're more guarded when doing a show live, so you do a little internal self-editing.
Yeah.
Chris from castahead.net, another plugin I can't live without. Yeah, I have this one. Vocal Writer from Waves. It keeps the voices, it's a big word. He went 50-cent word here, commensurate on a podcast in case the levels aren't the same. And it's wild because normally, like it's like moving a slider on the Rodecaster Duo, except it's a plugin. And so you kind of set some volume, like I want it to be this level, and it'll just sit there and you just watch this knob continually turn it up. So it's if I have somebody that a compressor won't level them out and I don't feel like running it through Alphonic, I'll throw in the vocal writer. So that's always fun. Ralph says, I don't have a live show right now, and that is what I have the urge to do because I agree, and he thinks it's better. Well, then take one of your shows and do it live. This is the one I was looking for. Chris said, the plugin you may be thinking of is Clear by Supertone. I love them in the 70s. What was their hit? Ladies and gentlemen, Supertone. We're so clear. Yeah, I need to write that down. Clear pulls out the room ambience and voice reverb. Yeah, so that's another one. Because Accentize has one just called D-Room. That's pretty cool. But I remember Chris mentioning that. So
just remember, it can't always make crap perfect.
Right.
So if you got a lot of crap audio going in, it doesn't. Listen, in the future, AI will fix this. Like you'll give it crappy vocal audio, it'll take a voice print, get it over the top. In fact, it could probably do it today, just to be honest. So if you get really bad audio from somebody, I think 11 Labs. Here's the hard part with this. You can't just take someone's voice and make something new out of it. They're going to want verification that that person has permission and some of those kinds of things. But I think there's going to come a day for you, at least for yourself, where if the audio is bad, just put an AI filter on top of it. It'll fix it. Same cadence, it'll just be better sound. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's capable. It's
you could get yourself a good clone of yourself. And then upload the bad audio of you, and it would, because I forget what it's called. There's a way you can upload a file, and the clone version of you will follow your voice inflections. Yeah. And so that would be an easy way to get good sound every time. But Adam Curry just played a clip of himself on the Podcasting 2.0 show, and it's close. It sounds like him. He's like, but it's the clone is going to sound as good as the audio you give it. And so his audio didn't have all its chocolatey goodness that it normally does. And so consequently, his clone didn't sound quite as good, but it's still pretty close. And the whole, like, you have to verify and have permission. They didn't ask for a whole lot when I cloned my grandpa. Just I think I had to pinky swear that I had permission. So we'll see. Tanner Rutledge says, I'm monetizing with my own product. Should I have a separate website for my podcast and for Shopify storefront? If so, where should the blog go for SEO? That's a good question. This is where you have to ask yourself, is my website a business that has a podcast or a podcast that has a business? So for like the first 5-10 years of the School of Podcasting, you would go there and you would see all my episodes, and I was trying to build my audience. And then after about 10 years, I'm like, I'm not getting as many signups as I want. So I switched it. Now when you go to the School of Podcasting, it's all about me, and Dave's great, and School of Podcasting is wonderful, blah, blah, blah. And then at the top, there's a button for episodes. Didn't really affect my episodes a whole lot, my downloads, because usually only about 3%, maybe 5%, depending on your audience and how tech savvy they are, listen on a website. And the beauty is your show notes, if you write more than a paragraph, are SEO. I always said a podcast, I treat it like a blog with an audio player at the top of it. The SEO, Shopify,
I do both. I'd have both. There's no reason to try to consolidate it into one. And neither is more important than the other. I would treat them like two separate, like, especially if that Shopify storefront has a separate URL, because then with SEO now, listen, we all know SEO is dying, and it's dying pretty quick. But you know, the storefront, the links between the different URLs, if they're being put on either of the websites, especially going from the blog to the Shopify page, you're going to get some credibility for that. So I just do both, you know, and then I'd measure. So do both and measure, get an indication of, because the way you do your blog and its SEO score and ranking matters too. So this isn't a best practice kind of thing, because it depends on how your site is set up today. I think I would say, how is my website trending for SEO? And then how do I set up my Shopify website to take advantage of the current SEO setup that it has? So you're going to have to do a little bit of work on that, just to kind of see how is my current site ranking at this point? Because listen, if your current blog isn't ranking in SEO today, adding a Shopify site's not going to change that.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get your site ranking hard for SEO now before it makes any difference. If it's not ranking, then you're asking the wrong question, right? So you need to go in and look at how is it going today? I wouldn't spend a ton of time worrying about SEO at this point. I mean, get it shored up so it's working well, but AIO is it's coming fast, friends. And so, you know, you need to be thinking, how is this for the AI robots? How is this set up? I'm not saying don't do any SEO, because it's still there. It's still there, but
I'm doing something, and Jim, you may laugh at me in the future. I'm actually really looking into SEO right now. Why? Because everybody else is going, oh, what's the point? And I'm like, now in the years, I may find out, oh, it's completely worthless. But I'm like, everybody else is like, oh, don't even there. And kind of like Jim said, I'm not saying don't do it, but you know, it's going away. So a lot of people are like, well, I'm not even going to do it if it's going to work. And I'm like, how long is it going to take for that door to shut? And the answer is probably quicker than I want it to. But in the meantime, you can use tools like Answer the Public. There's Href. There's all sorts of tools, because the problem is, and I ran into this at Libsyn, where there were 87 million golf podcasts, and they wanted to go to Google, type in the word golf podcast, and be number one. Well, you're trying to rank for a keyword that's really hard to rank number one for. So instead, go find some keywords that are, you know, maybe they still get a fair amount of searches, but there's not that much competition. And that's, SEO is a moving target, and that's where it is. Like Jim says, it's a lot of people are throwing in the towel because all I heard is AI, but AI is still kind of looking at Google and Bing and other things in the background. I'm like, well, if I rank over there, but the bad news is, yeah, great, I helped answer the question in ChatGPT. They got their answer and they never came to my website. That's a thing. That's definitely a thing right now. So it's going to be interesting to see where that shakes out. But I would be tempted.
Might be cheaper now with SEO trailing a little bit.
Yeah.
Or at least thoughts of it, buying those keywords, because that's how you rank on Google. You're in most cases, I won't say not,
right.
In most cases, organically, you're not going to own those keywords. You got to buy them.
Yeah.
And so you're going to spend some money to get there, and oftentimes that's a lot of money to get there. So,
most of their front page is now paid. It used to be they were like the top 2 were paid, and then you'd have like 7 that were organic, and now it's like 9 that are organic, and the very bottom of page 1 is organic or whatever. So it's paid, and then a bunch of paid, and then organic. But yeah, I would be tempted, because I could see like putting the podcast on one website and the blog on Shopify. And that's where I always just think Shopify is a big giant cart. But I'd be tempted to put my blog and my podcast on the website with just a link to the store. And then in the podcast, because you can do this with Podpage, I could say like, hey, if you want to shop for our stuff, go to mywebsite.com/shop. And that just points people to the Shopify store. So that would be, and then all the SEO is on your website via the blog, via the podcast. Because the podcast on the web, even though, again, only a small percent listen on the web, what happens is when it comes up because you typed good show notes, people click on it in Google, they go to the website, they click play on the player, and now they're there for 14 minutes. And Google goes, that's weird. Every time I send somebody over to Jim's site, they're there for like 14 minutes. It must be really good. So the podcast can boost the SEO just because of the player and people are listening. And then the blog, in theory, can bring in, because Google, the thing you have to remember, Google loves good words. And I always say good words because ChatGPT gives you words that are, okay. But they're not like, wow, I remember it was either Daniel J. Lewis or Pat Flynn. I think it was Pat Flynn that said he used to write show notes like somebody could use my show notes to take a test on the subject. Like they were really detailed. Let's see here. The Z-Man, thanks for the help. I have 40 plus topics for my show. Is it smart to pick the topic that resonates more with my why or a topic that is current? How burned out are you? The closer to your burnout, go with your why, because if you don't get your why, you're going to burn out. But if it's something that's popular, I know mom said don't go play in traffic, but sometimes it helps to go play in traffic. And then the other thing that I've heard a few people doing that I'm kind of going, if you're brand new to this or if you're coming back, don't record those 40 episodes without getting feedback on some of them. Because I once had a guy do 52 episodes and they were in the wrong format. They were in WMA files. And I was like, oh, yeah, that doesn't work. So get some feedback if you're going to batch a ton of stuff, because you don't want to. I always use the example of a lightning round, and it's like, hey, it's the lightning round. And then people go, yeah, I really hate the lightning round. That drives me crazy. And you're like, oh, great. I've only got 39 more episodes with a lightning round in them. So get some feedback on that. Don't just record 40 without getting some feedback. Let's see what else is going on in the chat room. We love our chat room, of course. What is up? The Roadcaster's just, I need a gavel now to press my sound buttons on the Roadcaster today. This would be true. Ralph says from the Content Creators Accountant, I heard the other day we're going to start seeing ads in the AI results. Well, everything that's useful. Remember when your Amazon show would just show pictures of your kids and nieces and nephews, and now it's nothing but ads. And occasionally there's a picture and it's like, oh, look, something you like is on sale. Rich Graham wants to know, have either of you looked at putting llms.txt files on your sites, similar to robots.txt? That's about as much as I know about that. I know an llms.txt file is kind of for AI. You can tell it what they can and can't use. That's as far as I've gotten. How about you, Jim? Have you nerded out on your? I
haven't yet, but I would use ChatGPT to help me build it for sure, because it's still a new standard for the most part. So this is one of those kinds of things you need to create it, put some content in it, measure it, see what's working, see if the robots are even coming by and looking at it. Some of those pieces. I mean, you can always build one, throw it on your website if you have that kind of control, and see what happens. But I would definitely I would tell ChatGPT, look at my site and build an llm.txt file that makes the most sense for AIO, robot scans, and it will create one for you. That's a good, easy way to start for sure.
Yeah. Same thing for privacy. And there's a couple other pages you're supposed to have on your site. Again, because it's, ChatGPT, it's AI, always read it before putting it on your website. Let's see. We're all talking about, why did we come up, large language model s.txt at me. I'm like, why is it There you go. Randy says, this is why I use the soundboard app instead of smart pads on the Rodecaster Duo. It's being very finicky today, which is kind of wild. Well, hey, let's run over and talk about somebody who's being a crybaby. That's always fun. Not so much a crybaby. That has kind of a negative connotation to it.
It did. Yeah, not the best.
Yeah, let's try something a little more fun. He says, I have a tech podcast. Jim, why did you put this on Reddit? No, which is
this is really niche. Don't tell anybody.
Which is starting to pick up audience right now. That's a good thing. I put a ton of effort on creating good content, researching, recording, and editing. Great. Now when it comes to promoting, it seems that many doors on Reddit are shut for small podcasters like myself. Well, they're also shut for large podcasters. They just, yeah. I try to recommend my podcast on tech forums, and people look for podcast recommendations, specifically tech stories. But because I recommended my own podcast, my post was deleted. From my understanding, I am contributing to the discussion, but recommending my own podcast to people interested in it. But should I only recommend other people's podcasts? Of course, I could post the recommendation by signing in with another account. And how is that any better? Well, how is it any better? It doesn't get deleted. Or B, have your audience go over and tell people how great it is. And if you can't get your audience to do that, you got another problem. I know these forums should not be used for self-promotion, but, so wait a minute, you can't, when you add but, that kind of negates that. If I generally think to have what another user is looking for, what should I be hindered to share this info? Basically, he's like, is this wrong? One of the things I've done, because I heard somebody say, if your podcast answers a specific question, then yes, you're self-promoting, but you're also answering a question. So there are times, I've only done it twice because I don't want to get kicked out of my Reddit group. But I will say, if somebody says, hey, yada, 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 I will say, I did an episode on this, and I'll put mods, meaning moderators. This episode answers this specific question. And so far, I haven't been pulled down, but I've only done it twice. So, and holy cow, look what Ralph went and did. In the immortal words of Taylor Swift, look what you made me do. I listened to that this morning. I will say that in public. I like that song, and it's very Taylor Swifty. But the there it is. I was going to say the button's not working. My big splash of money throwing everywhere. So thank you, Mr. Ralph, for the super chat. Wanted to give you a boost to a new year of great content to us. Thank you. I appreciate each of you. Thank you so much for that. So so this is one where I see people a lot. Here's the thing. Let's go the opposite way. There are Facebook groups where you can just go in and say, episode 17 is out of the Dry Rot podcast, and it's just never ending scrolling of new episode. Today we're talking about fluffy pink stuff, and you're just like, what? And it's just, I always go, well, is your audience over there? Now, in his case, he's in a tech group trying to promote a tech podcast, but I'm just here to say, I've seen self-promote. There's a guy in the Podpage Facebook group right now that's right on the edge. He keeps looking like, I'm so proud that I got this happen to me. And I'm like, okay, how does that help everybody else? Like, I'm yay you. But the one, he put a link to his website, and I was like this close to like, okay, that's strike 1.5. So if he does it again, he'll get kicked out. But I've just seen forums get like, not Podcast Movement, not Podfest, but there was another one that at one point had like 20,000 podcasters in it, and they quit moderating it, and it's absolutely worthless now. People are live streaming into it. So, Jim, any thoughts on how to? Because the other thing is, there are other ways to promote your show.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to. Listen, we're in an era of podcasting where it's definitely popular, right? I mean, the big podcasts are doing well, and for whether it be Rogan or New Heights or some of those, right? But they have giant money and giant machines behind them promoting those things. Jason and Travis played in the NFL. They self-advertised themselves every Sunday, right? I mean, now they have a machine, right? You don't have that. And so, listen, it's never been harder to start a podcast and not be someone who's already has a marketing machine behind you. Yeah. Everyone in Hollywood, they have a marketing machine behind them. Everyone on radio, they have a marketing machine. If who's the guy from LA, who's the DJ, he's real popular. He just did Dick Clark's. Why can't I remember?
Oh, Ryan Seacrest.
There it is. if Ryan Seacrest decided to do something, he has a marketing machine behind him. Friends, I'm sorry to say, you don't. You just you don't. You don't have a lot of great ways to get out there and quickly have it explode. The one you do have is to make great content and have your, like you say, have your audience begin to promote you in those spaces. If it's really good and it catches on and you get some of that stuff, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to have an amazing ground game to do everything that you can to get as much exposure as you can in any way possible. Whatever kind of influence you have, you're going to have to take advantage of it. I've seen folks try and get on local television. I've seen folks try to be a local expert. You can build your reputation through YouTube, of being an influencer on YouTube, and build some of those things up to get folks to come over and listen to you. But it's a work. It's
a grind,
flat out work. So, I think sometimes folks are a little bit like, oh, I put it out there and nobody's, like, welcome to the real world. Like if you set up a lemonade stand on your front porch and you don't put any signs out, nobody's going to come and, it's work. Yeah. So I hate to be that way to these folks. They're just trying. And listen, continue to do it if it's a voice for you. But it's, at the end of the day, it's harder today than it's ever been. One, because there's so many of them out there. But two, there's a machine behind these now. And nobody says, what's a podcast anymore? Like, the world knows what podcasting is. Yeah. So that cat's out of the bag. You're not cool anymore. I was just thinking about this the other day when, even Dave, 10 or 12 years ago when we started this thing, we were doing some things that nobody was doing, or very few people are doing. And it had kind of a cool factor to it. I do know this. We continue to get 30 or 40 in live in our chat room every Saturday because we're consistent, right? You work the podcast space more than anybody that I know. You work it. You're faithful to post. Yeah. You respond to people. You've drawn people to this podcast. Just at the end of the day, it's just work. Get out there and start hustling.
Yeah. And if you don't like doing that work, that's a problem. I did want to, I meant to mention this sooner. It's a interesting question and it's a serious topic, which is not normal for me, but I was like, anytime I see somebody do this, I go, don't do this. But this is from Chicago. A woman accused of live streaming herself on TikTok while driving as she struck and killed a man walking in the Northside suburbs has now been released from custody after she was initially ordered to remain detained. But bottom line is, she killed somebody live streaming. And when I see people like, what's the best setup so I can podcast from my car? I go, that is the definition of, distracted driving. Don't do that. So... she killed somebody. So that's a whole, and I'll do this, but it's not right. That's a whole different type of true crime. Okay. So, it's a true crime podcast, but somebody will probably do a true crime podcast about her trial where the podcaster killed somebody. Cause she's on TikTok and, that's a podcast, as is my kitchen timer right here. That's a podcast. And my this measuring tape right here, look, it goes all the way up to 7.5 meters. It's a podcast. So, Jim, okay. First of all, thank you, too. The world's greatest chat room. What is coming up on, the old...
Before we do that, can we recognize John? He dropped a super chat.
Oh, holy cow, John. Look at you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for both a fun, informative Hope 2026 is awesome for everyone. Me too. I got a lot of things planned. I got things planned that are like I can't talk about kind of plans. Those are going to be fun when they come out. So keep your ears to the ground around Podfest. There are going to be some things coming out. I also know secrets that I can't talk about that I'm like, that you probably...
You NDA? Are you trying to fill Todd's shoes here?
I am. I shouldn't talk about this, but it rhymes with Rykosoft. Yeah. So I miss Todd. Just for that. Just for the old, the old
NDA. The old NDA.
Yeah. Okay. Jim, can you go 4 minutes over?
Yeah.
We got a bonus question. It's a bonus question. Would love to hear both of you. What are the best promotional tools to use that are consistently that work? Jim just said it. Make a show that isn't just good, because just good isn't going to get it there anymore. Good is great. You don't want to go below good, but make it remarkable, and then ask your audience to share. And if you're lucky, 3% of them will. But if it's 10 this week, 3% means next week we'll have 13. And then if we can get another remarkable 3% of 13 is math that I can't do in my head. But let's say it's, another 4 people. So now I'm up to 17. Well, it's a slow grind. That's why you got to love. I don't know, Jim, any other being on other people's shows?
Yep. YouTube, talking with other influencers, building a community around your community, some of those kinds of things. It kind of depends, right? I mean, with everything, it kind of depends on what works best for what you're doing, who who you're connected to, what kind of things you can take advantage of. You've got to kind of do a self-assessment and say, how would I be best in this? So it's going to take a little bit of work. Did
you see what we got?
I know. Bang.
We said his names, man. He appeared. He's like Beetlejuice.
We have a mole. Someone knows how to contact Bangs. And as soon as he gets mentioned, somebody sent him an email. Certainly Bangs would not just come over and listen to us every Saturday to wait for his name to be invoked.
But well, I would love to, it's like Joe Henry. You say his name and as he appears. Yeah, other things like, do you have links on your website to follow the show? Make that easy. That's a pod page thing. If you go to askthepodcastcoach.com/follow, you can follow in whatever your app. And please quit saying, find me wherever you find your podcast, because if you don't believe it, go search for your show, and one of two things is going to happen. Both are not good. One, you won't find your show, or B, it'll show up twice in Apple Podcasts, because when you move from one host to the other, you resubmitted it. So here you go. Randy says, I'm gonna start dropping Bangs naughty bits every week to test the theory. So
but listen, Bangs, he put $2 in. Like he
that's it.
He put his money where his mouth is, and he did more than the 26 other people did. Well, I should say 24, because we had 2 others do super chat as well here. So, but Bangs, always great to see you, and thanks for the amazing mod job that you do.
He does
at that Reddit. I still hate Reddit, but at that Reddit group for podcasting.
I forget what he said this morning. Oh, because I read so many Reddits, but it was so good. All I said was just, amen, preach on, brother Bangs, because it was just the truth. We don't know who Bangs is. His name is Bangs. He's used to be a much more regular listener, and my favorite thing was Bangs would come in, and he's really knowledgeable about kind of conspiracy theory stuff, and he loved to bring it up on a show about podcasting. And there was one when I was like, he'd gone a little too tangent.
He skirted the edge. He skirted the edge, which is ironic, because that's what he tries to prevent in the Reddit group that he mods, as people being on the edge. But here, he was always on the edge of things. He would see how much he could squeak in, knowing we were going to moderate him.
That
was the whole play. So Ralph, you got to go back 5 years, maybe. For the Bangs era, as I'm going to call
it. And we're still friends. So it's he occasionally shows up. Sure. It was never personal. It was just like, that's kind of off topic. But much more better for the No Agenda show or something like that. So right on. But anyway,
always great to see you, Bangs. Always great to see you.
Thank you, sir. And Jim, what is coming up on Home Gadget Geeks?
I'm on a long extended break, which is awesome. I won't come back till mid-January, but the last podcast, Jay Franzi joins me. We create a new theme song for Home Gadget Geeks on the show. So if you want to see how we did that with AI, you can check it out today. It's available for you, homegadgetgeeks.com. And I'll put the link in the show notes.
Excellent. And on the School of Podcasting, I haven't done one of these in a while, and it needs a little update, and that is, it is for the beginners. Like, if you are like hey, I've already got it launched and I'm trying to figure out how to promote this thing, this one's probably not for you. It's how to launch a podcast, how to start a podcast. So the who, what, why, when, where. And the reason I'm doing this one again, instead of pointing people to the one I did, I think 4 years ago, is this one I'm talking about video. And I will be talking about, do you need to do video? No, you don't. But if you want to, you can. But I'm also going to talk about what it costs and what it does. But I want to do that without just being 40 minutes of Dave ranting about how video is not a podcast. But it's not going to be that because I just did that like 2 weeks ago. But it is going to talk about the things that people don't think about. Like, can you do this? Pick your schedule after you record your first episode. Get some feedback from that thing before you launch it. All that's going to be on the School of Podcasting. So thanks to all the awesome super chats from Ralph from AskRalph.com. John, I don't know what your website is. Otherwise, I would do that. And of course, the podcasting Reddit is where Bangs is. I was going to say Redditing, but he's what is that? When you
he's the boss. He's boss.
Yeah,
man,
he's the
Biggie
boss.
Smalls.
And of course, Dan at basedonatruestorypodcast.com and Mark over at podcastbranding.co. We'll see you next week with another episode of Ask the Podcast Coach.